Hey good people, and welcome back to the channel. It's a wonderful Monday, and not too long ago, many of us got to see the season 1 finale of HBO's House of the Dragon. In my opinion, this Game of Thrones spinoff was very exciting to watch, and I think the future for this series is quite promising. But as I watched the past season of the show, I arrived at an interesting conclusion that is sure to be a good topic for debate. And my conclusion is that Daemon Targaryen is very similar to another popular villain from Game of Thrones. So much so that I'll venture to say that Daemon Targaryen is just as crazy and sadistic as Ramsay Snow from Game of Thrones. And in order to lay out my case for why I feel these two characters are one and the same, I'll explore their similarities for comparison purposes. So to everyone out there that's tuned in, please sit back, buckle up, and prepare to agree or disagree with my opinion. In the HBO show House of the Dragon, Daemon Targaryen was by far one of the most fascinating characters that the show has ever brought to life within the world of Westeros. When we were first introduced to Daemon, he was presented to us as a problem child. Daemon would intentionally antagonize Otto Hightower to the point where he would severely injure Otto's son in a jousting match, and he would speak ill of Otto's deceased wife just to get a rise out of Otto. As leader of the City Watch, Daemon took part in rounding up the criminals and brutally dismembering them in order to send a message to all the citizens of King's Landing that he was a force to be reckoned with. And Daemon had no issue celebrating the death of his nephew, because that death meant that Daemon would once again be next in line to become king. And all this was in the first episode of the show. But in addition to our introduction to Daemon, we get to see him murder his own wife simply because he didn't want to be married to her any longer. We get to see Daemon killing quite a few of his own men in order to serve his own interest. And we also see Daemon getting some kind of joy out of burning people alive or threatening to do so with his dragon. And let's not forget about the mind games that he played with Rhaenyra earlier on in the season. Now I mention all these things just to hammer the point that Ramsay Snow and Daemon Targaryen are one and the same, despite the obvious few differences. After all, Ramsay Snow was known for antagonizing his enemies with his words and actions. Ramsay was also known for dismembering people and putting their mutilated bodies on display in order to send a message. Ramsay had no problem killing his father, stepmother, and half-brother in order to become the new Warden of the North. Ramsay thoroughly enjoyed playing mind games with other people, and Ramsay had no problem sacrificing his own men to accomplish his goals. I think it's safe to say that Daemon was just as crazy as Ramsay. However, they also share similarities that are more admirable. Both Daemon and Ramsay are great military strategists. They don't mind going on suicide missions, especially when the plan for victory is in place. This is demonstrated with Daemon in the battle against the Crab Feeder, as well as with Ramsay when he took a few dozen men to demoralize Stannis Baratheon's army. I also believe that both Daemon and Ramsay love their family, to an extent that is, and they wouldn't betray their family unless they were backed into a corner in which they felt they had no other choice. But for some odd reason, I think that most Game of Thrones fans love Daemon Targaryen, despite all the people that he hurt or killed and his reasons behind it. Yet, many of those same people consider Ramsay Snow to be the scum of the earth. Now granted, what he did to Sansa was pretty messed up, but aside from that, one could argue that Ramsay should be just as respected as Daemon, because their resumes are pretty identical. But that's just my opinion, and this marks the end of my video. To all those out there that have seen House of the Dragon and Game of Thrones, do you feel that Daemon is just as crazy as Ramsay? Do you feel that they're more similar than they are different? Or do you completely disagree with both concepts? Feel free to leave your comments below in the comment section, and I'll reply to everybody. Until next time, stay tuned and stay safe. Peace.